All right. Hi, everyone. It looks like we're recording. Welcome to our Team Fireball call. It's so good to see all of you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alice Beretta. I'm an equine veterinarian, Pro 5 with LifeVantage. And I'm so excited about our announcements today and just have some wonderful stuff to share about the follow-up. We've all heard that the fortune is in the follow-up. So we're going to hear some amazing stories from some of our distributors, and I'm super excited. But before I get into all that, I want to share some announcements. Number one, if you haven't registered for Global in October, don't forget it's going to arrive before we know it. And the other big announcement that I'd like to tell you about, if you didn't have a chance to take a look, is the new Axio bundle and the new Axio sample packs. So I'm going to share my screen real quick so you guys can see. Let's see. There it is. Okay. And there you go. So these are so awesome. I'm so excited about these. These are going to give us a way to share Axio with people without, having to buy 30 doses. So each little sample pack has 10 servings, and you can buy one pack or you can buy, 10 packs if you want to have a lot of them to hand out to people. But this is a great way to introduce Axio to people. That way they're not committed to buying 30 packets of something that they may not love the flavor, and that way they can try different flavors. So this is going to be lots of fun. It's only available for distributors. And when they explained why, it actually made sense because they're not very expensive. And since we get paid, 40% on that Smart Start bonus, you really want people to order a larger amount so that you can earn that bonus. So we order these and you can have them drop shipped to your customer, or you can order them and then just, hand them out to people. You can have extras at your house or in your car or wherever you're going so that you have them available. But this is a way to introduce Axio to people because that is such an amazing product that is underutilized and that I don't know how anyone lives without. But it's such a great way to introduce people to our company, or if you have, customers that are on Nerf 2 or other products and they've never tried Axio, it's a great way to introduce them. So the sample pack comes in the strawberry splash, which is officially my favorite flavor, and the purple grape. And then once they are in love and they, have tried the sample pack for 5 days, then you can, check in with them. The company's giving us a bunch of shareables and different scripts that we can use to connect with people and see how they're doing on their Axio. And then after they've been on it for a few days and they've fallen in love like the rest of us, there is an Axio and Nerf 2 bundle, which is amazing. I know I'm going to have that on my auto ship every single month because those are the two things that I always run out of. But you can choose your flavor, whichever one you want, and your bottle of Nerf 2. So I'm super excited about that. I think this is going to be a great way for us to introduce some of our existing customers to Axio and bring in some new customers. Because let's face it, we all have that like afternoon slump, or it's hard to get going in the morning. And I don't know how people survive without it. I don't even know how I ever survived without it. I always joke with Christy about no Marco Polos before Axio because I get on there and I'm all grumpy and I'm like, oh, sorry, Christy, I'll drink my Axio and I'll be back. So it's definitely so important. So I just wanted to kind of briefly go over that because I'm so excited. I love it when our company responds to what we want and they give us what we need. And, we had such good results just selling Axio last fall. I think it was last year. And we were having to actually, put them together and put them in mail in the, go to the post office and mail them. This way, all we have to do is put in their address, from our back office. So you just go to order, but instead of putting your address, you drop ship it straight to them, and then they can either Venmo you, or you can actually put in their credit card information, which is so cool. Just be careful that you don't, put your next order on their credit card. Make sure it's just for that one order. But if you guys need any help with the technical side of it, we'd be happy to help you, because I do that all the time. But this is awesome. So I can't wait for us to utilize it and share some of the social media shareables and the scripts that they're going to have in our back office by this evening. So super exciting stuff. So now, the power of the follow-up. We all know that the fortune is in the follow-up and how important it is. And Jenny talked about it last week. But why don't we follow up? Why don't we, follow up as many times as necessary when we have something so incredible to share with people? And we have to understand that it takes time. People don't know what they're missing out on. People don't know what they don't know. And so before I get started, this was shared with me at my yoga class, and I just wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's so powerful, and it really, really, really resonated with me. So I'll just open it up to this. Showing up. Just show up as you are. You don't have to look great or feel great. You don't have to be prepared for each challenge or know all the hows of every situation. You don't have to be fearless or have all the answers or be 100% ready. Nobody is any of these things. Nobody ever was. It's not about being perfect at all. You just have to show up as you are, despite all the objections and insecurities of your mind, despite each and every fear that threatens to hold you back, despite the limitations and criticisms others will place on you. The hell with all that. This is your life, your journey, your adventure. All it's asking of you, sorry, I'm covering up my screen. All it's asking of you is to show for it. I'm so sad I can't read the end. There it is. Okay. As you are, that's enough. That's more than enough. And that's everything. So this really resonated with me. One of my yoga classes, they shared that. And I just think it is so important for life in general. Showing up for ourselves, showing up for the ones we love, showing up for the people who don't know about this and that deserve to know. And I just thought it was so perfect because we all have limiting beliefs and we all have reasons, like things that hold us back from, inviting, following up, sharing this information, speaking up when we know that the products that we have could be life-changing for people. And I always remember when I had met a neighbor who was on Protandim Nerf 2. And when I mentioned Nerf 2 to her, she was like, oh, I think I'm taking that. My friend Betty Lou told me about it. And my heart sank. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me? Like, we've known each other for 30 years. Like, why didn't you share? And I just remember thinking, I don't think she really understood as deeply as I did how powerful Protandim was. All she knew is that she felt better and her blood work looked better. But education is key. And that is one of the things that they talked about on the talk earlier that corporate did for launching these Axio samples. What was it? I texted it on our Team Fireball, but it was that, Christy might be able to help me. It was the education is the foundation to retention. That's what it was. And so if people don't understand, they don't know, they're not going to stay on our products. They're not even going to realize that our products is what's making them feel better. So it's just education is key. And I do feel like it is the foundation to, our customer retention. So, but before you follow up or invite, remember the ITT, invite to your tool and then to the team. Remember the connection. And Christy talked about this when she talked about the invite. It is huge. You have to connect with people. Connection is why we're here. And it's what brings, meaning and purpose to our lives. So another thing that is key about the invite and the follow-up is you have to keep the conversation and the relationship going. Only then will you be able to help your prospect come to a decision, because that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing is helping. Every follow-up is more information, more education to help people make their own decision. So invite to a tool and to the team. And just remember that it takes time. It takes time to educate people so that they order and they also understand what they're ordering. So these are 4 important concepts that I got from Eric Worre. Following up needs a W. Sorry about that typo. Christy, I know you noticed it. Follow up is doing what you said you would do. Number 2, with every exposure, set up the next exposure. So every time you follow up, you're actually setting yourself up for the next follow-up. So if you've invited someone to a meeting and they weren't able to show up, say, no problem, we have a recording. So you've set up your next follow-up. You can also say, here's some information to take home with you. Can I check back in with you in a couple days? I would love to answer any of your questions. So you're setting up your next exposure. Or if you send someone a video and you say, I would love for you to talk to my friend Allison. I know you would really resonate with her. You guys have a similar background or a similar story or whatever it is. I'll check and see if she's available to talk next week. So you're already with that exposure, setting yourself up for the next one. And so it's just, you just always have to be ready for the next exposure, the next tool, the next piece of information that will help them decide. So it takes, one of the things we forget and that we need to remind ourselves is it takes an average of 4 to 6 exposures for a person to make a decision. And 4 to 6 feels like a lot, but sometimes it takes longer. We all have heard the stories of the people that, some of our distributors are really diligent about following up, and that's why they're so successful. Daisy is definitely one of them. And we always hear the story about how she followed up with Sheridan 20 times and we wouldn't all be here if it wasn't for that. And then the other thing that Eric Worre says is condense the exposures for better results. So don't stretch out your exposures. You don't want to wait 6 months, to follow up with them. And small pieces of information, don't overwhelm them and try to give them all the information all at one time. And then the other thing that I just wanted to really, really emphasize is in that connection, the way that you connect with people is by sharing stories. So if you're just sharing a tool or trying to connect them with your team, it's going to be hard to get to that next exposure if you don't have that connection there. So sharing your story is key because that is what people remember. There's a statistic that says after a presentation, 63% of attendees remember stories. Only 5% are going to remember facts or statistics. And the other thing, ask for referrals. Don't forget about referrals. 91% of customers say that they would have given a referral, but only 11% of people actually ask for referrals. So that's a great tool that I know that I don't utilize as much as I should, because everyone knows someone that needs what we have. So the big thing to remember is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So remember that your job is to educate and help people come to their own decision. Your job is to share your story, share what we have, and it's up to them what they do with that information. But that once you've shared, you can sleep at night and then you just keep following up. Sometimes people are just not open. There are things going on in their lives where they just can't look at anything or they can't think, or it's just not the right timing. And that's okay. And that's why we follow up. So that is everything that I have for today. I do have a couple of people on the call that I would love for them to share their follow-up story. I'm going to just share mine with you guys just so you can kind of see that everybody's story is a little different. Let me go ahead and stop sharing so you don't have to stare at a blank screen. Okay. So my follow-up story is my friend Sheridan gave me a call, and actually I think she sent me a text message, and she said, Alice, there's something so exciting I can't wait to tell you about. And I remember responding. I can't remember what I told her, but it took her several days to respond. And I remember thinking, this is exciting. What's taking so long? So I was curious and I was like, why isn't she responding? And so I just was like, well, I'll be patient and I'll wait. And then she called me and we had a wonderful conversation. She was excited about the science and the herbs and all that nerdy stuff because she knew that that's what I would be interested in. And then I was like, oh, that's really cool. I'd love more information. And she said, well, let me see if I can connect you with like a horse person or, somebody that could help you. And I was like, okay. So then she sent me another text message and said, I've got Debbie Crawl. She's a Pro 7. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to talk to her. And I was like, Pro 7, what is that? I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but whatever. She was excited. She's a great friend of mine. I trusted her and I was like, okay, sure, I'll jump on this phone call. And my kids were little, and I was exhausted and I was just like, okay, whatever. So I talked to Debbie. She's like really calm, laid back, short conversation. And I was like, gosh, I'd love more information. Do you know any veterinarians or like equine veterinarians that could give me some information? She's like, sure. So she connected me to 2 different veterinarians. I talked to 2 different equine veterinarians. And then she invited me to a meeting at Allison's house. And you guys, I was late to the meeting because I put the wrong time in my schedule and I showed up like 2 hours late. And I missed the whole thing, but I had a glass of wine with Allison and I hadn't seen her in years. So it was awesome. And that was a lot of follow-ups. And then I finally ordered. And then they were like, you have to come to this thing. And I don't even remember where it was, this meeting. And I was like, oh my gosh, my kids are little. Like, I don't think I can leave for the weekend. But I remember Sheridan saying, hold on, I want you to talk to Daisy and she can make it make sense. And she literally calls Daisy. Daisy's like on the beach. It's windy. You can't even hear her. And she's like going into her story about like all her struggles and her husband. And I was like, okay, sure. I guess I'll be there. And so all of it was kind of crazy, but I just knew that I was surrounded by passionate people that thought it was really important for me to show up for this event. And I was like, okay, I'll make it happen. And so even though most of it did not make sense, it was way out of my comfort zone. And I really wasn't sure how to put it all together. I just knew they were excited. And I just felt how impactful it was just from the way that they felt and the way that they shared the information. And so just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it takes you a week to text somebody back. It's okay if you connect someone on a 3-way phone call that doesn't quite like, I was like, who's Daisy? why is she telling me about her husband and her, like losing her income? Like, what's that got to do with anything? Like, it does not have to be perfect. Like, it's all about how you make people feel and the fact that you're genuine and you're sharing yourself. So I just wanted to kind of share like that side of how I was introduced to LifeVantage and why I got started. So, all right. So that's enough about me. I would love for, I think Rebecca is on the call. Yay, Rebecca. So good to see you. Rebecca, if you would share your story on how you got started and what made you make the decision to, number 1, take the products, and number 2, start sharing it with other people.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Alice. My name is Rebecca Wilburn, and I actually got introduced to LifeVantage by Dr. Alice Peretta herself. She is just an amazing woman, and I met her through a coffee shop I was working at, and I was telling her one day about my dog who was just having trouble having seizures and different things going on with her health. And Alice said, "Hey, I think you should maybe give this a shot." And she gave me a little bag of pills that were cut in half, and we're just kind of like, okay, sure. I'm like, she knows, I know she knows what she's talking about. And so I started giving them to my dog and just noticing incredible improvements. And as I was watching this, I'm like, I know that my dog is not putting on, for me, that she's actually getting better. And so I was just amazed. And so Alice would slowly and steadily, ever faithfully give me information and science printouts. And I was like super nerdy about it too. Like, oh my goodness, this is exciting. And why wouldn't I want to be taking it too? So that's how I got introduced. And as I started taking it and seeing improvements on my own self, I told my mom about it, and then it's like, oh, my grandma wants to hear about it. And so it just kind of kept going and growing. And so, it's just an amazing opportunity that anybody can do. And, I am so grateful to Alice because I am been ever faithful on it. And my friends and family have just had amazing success. And it's so fun. And the people you meet as well is just incredible. So that's my little story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for sharing. I have to add, I invited Rebecca to a meeting, and there was a round table with swords. And so you forgot to mention that part. And I'm pretty sure that's why you signed up as a distributor, because yes, there was some wine involved, although Rebecca doesn't drink, but I had some wine, and I'm pretty sure we knighted a few people with those swords. So that's the fun part that she was talking about. See, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be fun. Oh, Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing. All right, we also have Carol on the call. Carol, I would love for you to share how you were introduced to LifeVantage. Carol is the sweetest person. I am so happy to have her on the call, and I'm so proud of you. That post on Facebook that you did yesterday, it just made my heart explode. You said all the things that I haven't been brave enough to say myself, and I don't know. I just commend you for that. But thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your follow-up story.
Oh, you're the sweetest person. Thank you, Alice. Well, I actually saw a post on Facebook, and it was Janae Rhodes that had put the post up. And I can't remember now if I'd seen a couple or if it was just, she had some rodeo bronc rider or bull rider. She talked about his results. And I can't remember if I saw that one that really kind of triggered me, or she put something about Dave Thacker, who actually started my daughter's horse. And I had a root canal about 4 years ago, and I was lying in a certain way for a long time, and it pinched a nerve in my neck. And like the root canal wasn't bad enough, I ended up with a horrifying pinched nerve. I went to physical therapy for 6 months. Nothing seemed to relieve it. And I was just so fed up. I think I'd been dealing with it for about 2.5 years, not to the same intensity as the beginning, but where I couldn't look over my left shoulder. And I was kind of at a point where I was just ready to try anything because I was so tired of being in pain all the time. So I can't remember if I messaged Janae or called her. And because I knew Janae, because she and Dave Thacker are, a couple. And so she said, oh, I'll send you some information. And she sent me a video. I think it was one that Allison's video. It starts where Allison's talking about her children and the products, and then it goes into the business side. And I kept looking at it, and it was super long, and I was like, oh, I just don't have time to watch it. So I didn't watch it. So, and I just got busy with other stuff. And then I can't even remember. I tried to go back and look, but of course, Janae's Facebook page got hacked, and now she has a new Facebook page. So our messenger stream is gone. So I can't remember. I know we kind of went back and forth a couple of times, and then I eventually turned the sound on and listened to the video while I was doing laundry or chores or something. And when it got to the business part, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so not interested in a business, because I am an Amway PTSD survivor. And but I did decide I wanted to try the product, and at that time they were doing an introductory zero. It cost you nothing to sign up on the lowest level of distributor. So I was like, well, what the heck? I might as well sign up because it was free. So I did that, and I had no intention at all. And then I went all in. I went with the Tri-Synergizer right off the bat. And within about 3 weeks, I noticed I could actually turn my head a little bit more. And I have a lot. My body's a mess. I have Epstein-Barr, I have thyroid eye disease, I have thyroid disease, I have chronic interstitial cystitis. So my body's just an inflammatory mess. And I noticed other things, like I could start looking up without having pain in my eyes. And by about November time, I think it was, Janae had introduced me to Jenny, who I knew Jenny through 4-H and stuff, but as somebody to go to. So I called Jenny and I said, hey, I'm interested in finding more about the business, because I just fell in love with the products. But then I've been a total chicken. I'll talk to people I don't really know one-on-one. And funnily enough, a friend of mine is involved in some other multi-level. I don't even know what it is, but she posted a generic video about what direct sales, multi-level marketing was all about. And I watched it while I was doing laundry. That's when I normally watch stuff. And it just really inspired me that I needed to let people know what I was doing. And for me, because I find videos a little overwhelming, it's like, oh, I don't have time to watch it. I thought I'm just going to really pray and work on putting out my heart to tell people where I'm coming from. And I sent it to Jenny on Sunday night and said, hey, what do you think? And she got back. I said, you don't have to answer me today. I know it's Sunday. I'm so sorry to bother you. And she got back to me, and I was like, just post it now. So I did. And I have sent out 12 emails today to people that have asked me for more information. And I always am looking at customers. I'm not looking at, but you know what, if any of them are interested, then, so that was all from that one post, and just from telling people I was a chicken and too afraid to share stuff with them. So, and then I just said at the end, if I reach out to you, please be kind and realize how much courage it's taken me to reach out to you. So that's my heart. It's hard. It's hard for me with people I know. It's not hard for me with people I don't know, but it's really hard for me with people I know.
Oh gosh, Carol, I loved your post, especially when you put that part at the bottom where you're like, please be kind. It's really hard to reach out. Like, I was like, oh, I want to steal that. I want to forward it and say what she said. It was just,
you're welcome to take anything from it. Like I said, it's
no, I think that's how we all feel. And that's why it's so hard. We all have self-limiting beliefs where we're so worried about what people may think, or people might interpret it the wrong way, and, not understand where we're coming from because they don't know what we know. And that's the hardest part. But I love this call because in all of these stories, you can see that it wasn't perfect, like your video, Allison's video, even though it was amazing, you were like, oh, that's too long, I don't have time for that. And it took the right time when you were doing laundry for you to actually listen. And if Janae hadn't followed up and sent you more information, and then you wouldn't have taken the time. So I love that, how it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to have it all together. We don't have to know all the right answers. And we just have to stop worrying and just share from our hearts. And just like you did, that 5-second rule where I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do this. I'm not going to wait for the perfect time or, the perfection part that never happens. So thank you so much for sharing, Carol and Rebecca. It was so good to see both of you on here. And if there's anybody else that wants to share a little bit about, what made them decide, what helped them, what information or what step helped them make that decision, because that's all we're doing. That's all we're doing is sharing information that will help people make the right decision for them. So if anybody else wants to share, jump on. If not, we'll end the call. All right, well, it's 9:32, so I think it's time, but thank you all for jumping on and for taking the time, and have a wonderful, wonderful night. Bye.
Thanks, Alice.